After months of lockdown in the United States, parts of the country are beginning to reopen businesses, including theme parks. In fact, there are some parks that have already opened back up. However, going to theme parks won't be the same as they were pre-2020. With several restrictions, decreased capacity, and strict social distancing measures, there will be a huge impact for anyone looking to get out and ride some coasters this summer. In this video, we're going to look at which parks have opened, which ones have official opening dates, and what changes you can expect at these theme parks so that you can best plan your next thrill destination. Hey everyone, this is Cullah Hill from Destination Thrills, and finally the theme parks are starting to open up. You know, it doesn't feel like life is getting back to normal yet, and I don't think it will be for some time, but it's just a positive thing to see some of these theme parks beginning to open up again. And honestly, I don't care if it's reduced capacity or even if we have to all wear masks, any of those restrictions, just the fact that we have the opportunity to go out and ride these rides now is amazing, and I'm looking forward to it. So now that the parks are beginning to open up, I wanted to give you all the details on which parks are open, which ones will be opening soon, and what types of restrictions you can expect when you go out there. I will also take a look at parks that might be closed a little bit longer due to their state's strict COVID restrictions. Now, doing research, there were some common guidelines that you should expect at all parks this summer. This includes the obvious do not come to the park if you're feeling sick or have tested positive for COVID-19 in the last 14 days. Also maintaining a 6-foot distance between other groups. They also want you to avoid gathering in large groups as well. They're also encouraging frequent hand washing by providing multiple hand sanitizer stations around the park. You'll also see staff frequently sanitizing high-touch areas on rides and other surfaces around the park. And you'll also notice tables at restaurants and other seating areas will be spread out to maintain that social distancing. None of these new guidelines are a real shocker, and you can expect to see these at most American parks this summer. Some parks have actually opened already and have had the chance to practice these new measures. Now, in a few vlogs that I've seen, at some of these parks it doesn't look like people are really strictly following these social distancing rules. However, it does seem that the parks are making an effort to sanitize and prevent the spread as much as possible. One of these parks is Universal Orlando, which opened on June 5th. They're requiring a face covering to enter and will be conducting temperature checks at the gate. Those with a 100.4 degree fever or higher will not be allowed in the park. Guests are required to wear a mask on the attractions with the exception of water rides and slides. They will also require guests to use hand sanitizer before entering ride vehicles. There will be markings on the floor in queue lines and other areas to help enforce social distancing between groups. They are also encouraging the use of their mobile app, which allows you to order food and drinks from certain restaurants and provides you with a chance to virtually queue. Universal does not require a reservation to enter their 3 parks. However, they are operating at a reduced capacity, and when that capacity is reached, they will not be allowing additional guests to enter the park. There is not a limit to party size. They just ask that you follow the social distancing guidelines with other groups. One thing you should note is that lockers will have a limited availability at the park, so they are encouraging that you bring items that will fit in your pockets. Now, all attractions are expected to be open as well. And finally, you can get photos with the characters in the park. However, you will need to maintain a 6-foot social distance, which I think is kind of funny because that picture is just going to be so awkward with you just standing 6 feet away from your favorite character. But anyway, it's good news that Universal is getting open in Florida, and that's a good sign for the rest of the parks around the country. Another park that is open is Mount Olympus, and it was actually one of the first parks to open up in May. They require that you book a room at Mount Olympus Hotel in order to gain access to the park. This allows them to maintain a reduced capacity. Now, face masks are not required for guests. However, in some areas of the park, it will be required for employees. They will also be doing temperature checks on their employees as well, but not on their guests. Now, Fun Spot America and Kissimmee in Florida are open as well. I wasn't able to find anything on capacity restrictions. It sounds like this park operates at a low capacity anyway, so I don't think they're running into that issue. Also, masks are not required to enter the park. There will be social distancing of 6 feet in the queue line areas, and employees handling food or cash will be required to wear a mask. Now, a park that is opening up this weekend is Adventureland in Iowa. The park is limited to a 50% guest capacity restriction. However, all season pass holders will be guaranteed admission any day the park is open. Now, those purchasing tickets online or at the park will be let in on a first-come, first-served basis. The park is encouraging the standard COVID-19 guidelines that we mentioned earlier. However, masks are not required to enter the park. They will also be spacing out groups on rides when needed. They also mentioned that employees will be screened before their shifts and will be wearing PPE where required. Now, do note that the water park has not been cleared for opening at the time this video is being made, and it will remain closed until the state and local government gives them the all clear. Now, Silverwood began their daily operations this weekend as well. They will be at controlled capacity, which means when you purchase an online ticket, you must select a date. The park is encouraging buying tickets online by making online tickets $20 off from the gate price. Now, masks will not be required to enter. However, they are giving out complimentary masks at the gate if you choose to have one. Now, season pass holders, just note that you will not need a reservation to enter the park. Ride-outs will be assigned seating on popular attractions to ensure proper distancing between groups. Also note that Silverwood is utilizing cashless procedures when purchasing food and retail items. A reloaded cash card will be available to purchase online or at the park. Now, just down from Idaho into Utah, we have Lagoon that has opened as well. They are implementing an online reservation system in order to get admission into the park. Lagoon is also requiring you to wear a mask in the park. Some interesting notes in their guidelines is that they will be prohibiting large gatherings and encouraging movement throughout the park. It sounds like they don't want people just lingering in one spot for too long, which I think is a very interesting approach, and I'm curious to see how they're going to enforce that. They will also be making you sanitize your hands before riding the rides, and they will be spacing out people in queue lines and on certain rides as well. They will also be eliminating the single rider line, which was used to fill empty seats. So these are some notable theme parks that have opened up. I know there are several other smaller parks as well that have opened up. If I try to cover everything, this video would be like an hour long, so I just wanted to focus on some of the main parks. Now let's discuss some notable parks that have announced opening dates. Starting with the Florida parks, we already mentioned Universal Studios and Fun Spot parks. I'm sure a lot of people are dying to know about Disney. Walt Disney World theme parks in Florida will open later in July, with Magic Kingdom and Animal Kingdom opening July 11th, and Epcot and Hollywood Studios opening July 15th. They will be requiring a reservation and a paid ticket to enter. As of this video, they have actually put a pause on buying new tickets to allow season pass holders and those who have already purchased tickets to reserve a date. Once they have given season pass and ticket holders enough time to reserve a date, they will then allow people to purchase tickets and make reservations. Face coverings will be required for anyone ages 2 and up, and they will require temperature screenings before entry. They also mentioned that some experiences will be unavailable or modified to maintain social distancing regulations. I could not find a list of which attractions will be impacted, so I'm hoping more details will be released as we get closer to opening day. Now, jumping to Busch Gardens Tampa and SeaWorld Orlando, they are set to open on June 11th and will require a reservation for ticket holders and pass holders to enter. You can begin making reservations on Monday, June 8th. Now, good news if you're a season pass holder, SeaWorld and Busch Gardens have actually blocked off reservation capacity for pass holders. So if reservations for a specific date sells out to those that are buying one-day tickets, it sounds like there will be some extra capacity set aside for pass holders to be able to reserve that date. Now, there will be temperature screenings at the gate, and those 2 years of age or older must wear a mask. There will be modified seating on rides to provide social distancing as well. There will also be markers in queues, restaurants, and in open animal viewing areas to keep groups 6 feet apart. Now, to my knowledge, Icebreaker and Iron Gwazi will not be opening just yet, and no word on if these two new for 2020 roller coasters will open at all this year. I'm hoping to get more information on that, and once I do know, I will definitely post about it on my social media channels. Alright, let's move to the Herschend family parks, Silver Dollar City and Dollywood. They have both announced their opening dates finally. I'm so excited for this. Silver Dollar City is opening to pass holders on June 13th and 14th, and then to the general public on June 15th. Dollywood is opening to pass holders on June 15th and 16th, and will be open to the general public on June 17th. Online reservations will be required at both parks for season pass holders and those buying one-day tickets. A face mask will be required for those ages 3 and up. There are some water attractions and roller coasters that you will be allowed to ride without a mask. You can find a list of those rides on the park's website. There will also be temperature checks upon entry. Now, for you Silver Dollar City fans, it appears that Mystic River Falls will not be opening just yet, and I haven't heard from park officials on if this attraction will be opening this summer. Fingers crossed that it does. Now, regardless, if you've been following this channel, you know that I've been following the construction of Mystic River Falls since the beginning of 2019. And so when I visit the park this month, I will be releasing another construction update. So definitely be on the lookout for that. Let's talk about another park that's opening up, and that is Kentucky Kingdom. The dry park will be opening on June 29th, and the water park will be open at a later date. Now, for the life of me, I could not find their COVID-19 policies on the website. I am assuming that many of the measures that we did discuss with Silver Dollar City and Busch Gardens will apply here. But again, there doesn't seem to be any information on if there will be a reservation system, will masks be required, or if temperature screens will be conducted on entry. Now, since the opening date isn't until June 29th, it could be that these policies are in development and details will be released soon. They did mention that there will be lower general admission prices, which is a fantastic move in my opinion. Tickets will be $29.95, so you better believe I'm going to be taking advantage of that deal this summer once we get more details on the park's new guideline. Now, just down I-64 in Indiana, we have Holiday World, which is opening June 14th to premium pass holders and June 17th to the general public. Now, this is just for the dry park. They are hoping to get Splash and Safari open by July 4th. They also said that they will open their new water coaster Cheetah Chase when they can, so it sounds like it may not open at the same time with Splash and Safari. However, it does sound that they are trying to get it open for 2020, which is a great sign. Now, Holiday World has a different take on masks. They're not requiring you to wear one to get into the park, and because they're considering it a loose article, they may ask you to remove your mask on certain rides. Holiday World will also be implementing a virtual queue line, which you will use your smartphone to reserve a spot in line. They did mention they're going to try and come up with a system for those who may not have a smartphone or, God forbid, your phone dies while you're in the park, but they haven't released those details just yet. Also, I'm not sure if the same system will be used in the water park, which would be a bit inconvenient considering you don't typically bring your cell phone with you on water slides. Now, I was trying to look to see if they were doing free sunscreen throughout the park still. I'm not sure if that's still a thing. Someone can correct me in the comments, but I do know they mentioned that there will still be free soft drink stations. So if you're looking for your free sodas, Holiday World will still be doing that in 2020. Now, let's move to the state of Texas where some parks are opening as well. I just heard this morning that SeaWorld San Antonio looks to be opening on June 19th, and it looks like they will be following the same guidelines that we mentioned for Busch Gardens Tampa and SeaWorld Orlando. Six Flags Over Texas and Six Flags Fiesta Texas will be opening on June 19th to pass holders and June 22nd for the general public. You will need a reservation if you plan to visit that day. They are requiring face masks for those over the age of 2 and will be checking temperatures at the gate. Now, on the park's website, I didn't see the mention of a virtual queue system, but I wouldn't be surprised if they develop one in the near future. Six Flags will also be having you watch videos about the park's guidelines and how to be safe in the park. They did mention that they will also be spreading out groups on certain rides as well, which is pretty consistent with what we've seen mentioned at other parks in this video. Okay, now let's talk about the Ohio parks, which have finally been given the green light to open after Kings Island and Cedar Point filed lawsuits against the state for not mentioning them in the reopening phase. This caused Ohio Governor DeWine to come out on Friday and say that water parks and theme parks can open on June 19th. Now, this is not the official date of Kings Island and Cedar Point's reopening. These parks will likely need some time to prepare to open up for day one. However, this is a good sign that these two major Cedar Fair parks will be opening in the near future. One thing we will be looking out for is to see if Orion will be opening with the park on day one, or if they will delay it later in the summer. Another Cedar Fair park that is trying to open up is Carowinds. Local news station WBTV says that the park's tentative opening date will be July 27th. Again, this is tentative as it sounds like more things need to be worked out with Carowinds and the local state governments, but at least we have a general time frame on when we can expect Carowinds to begin their 2020 operations. So these are the parks that have general opening dates. I'm sure there are other parks out there that I haven't mentioned as well, but these are the ones that I could find in my research. And if you do know about any other parks opening up anytime soon, definitely leave those in the comments below. Now, parks in California, Illinois, New Jersey, New York, Virginia, and Pennsylvania are under stricter guidelines for COVID-19, so we may not see these parks open until mid-July or even later. I have heard rumors that Six Flags Great America is trying to get approval to open in late June, but Illinois' governor has been very strict on reopening, so I'm having a hard time believing that the park will be successful in that request. Finally, I have to talk about my home park, Six Flags St. Louis. There is no word on when the park can open. The park is located in St. Louis County, which has a later reopening plan than the rest of Missouri. So, just because Silver Dollar City is opening June 13th, doesn't mean that Six Flags St. Louis will be opening in June as well. Worlds of Fun in Kansas City is in a similar situation, along with other parks in large metropolitan areas. Obviously, I will be looking out to see when more parks reopen, and I might do a second video once we get more information on some of these other theme parks, but definitely follow me on social media as I tend to update the news on parks opening there. So I'm curious, will you be visiting any of these theme parks when they open up? Do you feel safe enough to visit these parks? And also let me know what you think of some of these new guidelines. Do you agree with them? Do you think they're too restrictive? Do you think they're too loose? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I know that I finally have some trips coming up in June, so I will be able to share my experiences with you all on what is actually happening at these parks in the middle of a pandemic. So if you want to see those videos coming soon, then I suggest that you subscribe to Destination Thrills, as we are the destination for all the latest theme park news and content. Thank you all for watching this video. Be safe out there and have a good one.